I sold 200 pens for $2 each through the school, and I know
400 buckaroos.
Yeah, and it was that confidence in me and the belief in me that sold the pens, not because I actually wanted a pen. What teacher needs more pens?
Sometimes it's just so important to stop for a minute and really take a second to acknowledge ourselves and acknowledge yourself, because you're doing the good work, fighting the good fight, doing the good work for our young people, showing up even when you're exhausted or there's a pile of paperwork that we don't even want to know about on your desk.
Some of us do have students who are that polite and always might thank us at the end of a lesson, but for a big part of it, it's a really thankless job.
Yeah.
So it's really important to have that acknowledgement of just how amazing you are for the fact you choose to hang out with teenagers and young people and literally influence the next generation of these other change makers that are sitting in our classrooms.
Podclass acknowledges the true and traditional custodians of the land we meet on here today. We are meeting in Naarm and pay our respect to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening today.
So no one told you teaching was gonna be this way. Your lesson plans are jokes, your patience broke, you're feeling in disarray. It's like you're always stuck in report writing, when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your school year. But I'll be here for you
When the students start to riot,
I'll be here for you,
even if your coffee's gone cold,
I'll be here for you, 'cause you're there for them too.
Hello and welcome to Podclass. This is the one to pump up your tyres. You're joined by Skye and Amanda, the CEOs and founders of Youth Engagement Project, and 21-year-old CEO Wil Massara of Youth
Ciao.
Leadership Academy Australia.
Did you just say goodbye?
I said ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, that's
Ciao.
goodbye.
Isn't it hello as well?
I'm unsure.
In Italian, yeah.
Oh, it is.
I've decided that I would now
Also
say hello in
hello.
a different language every time.
We love it. We love that.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome, Wil.
We are two teachers, and as I've just said, Wil is a CEO and he's also 21. So, generational divide, lots to talk about, as Wil likes to remind us of this age difference all the time.
Guys, intergenerational collaboration. This is what we're sitting around this table for.
We love it. We love to see it. We're absolutely here for it. And today really is all about the listeners. It's all about teachers who tune in. It's about the good stuff that we see going in the world. And we know, we can all probably think of that one teacher or interaction or a moment that we've had in our schooling experience where we've had an experience of an educator who's inspired us, who has, passed on a learning, or we've had a connection that's really stuck with us into our adulthood, even if for Wil it's early adulthood, but something that's really, really stuck with us. And we can all agree that teachers are one of the most important jobs on the planet. And it's really important as we look at for me, really shocking numbers of educators who are choosing to leave the teaching space. And
for so many valid reasons as
for
well.
so many valid reasons,
Yeah.
like the burnout rate. And we've spoken before on this podcast about that importance of self-care for teachers. But I also think too, hats off to educators. They need to have that acknowledgement because it's so deserved. The work you're doing is the good work,
So
and we
consider
need good
this
people in
just
these
a
roles.
pep talk for you if you need it.
Yeah.
Here's a little pep talk for you.
And also I just feel like we can get so caught up in the overwhelm of it all, and sometimes it's just so important to stop for a minute and just really take a second to acknowledge ourselves, and acknowledge yourself, because you're doing the good work, fighting the good fight, doing the good work for our young people, showing up even when, you're exhausted or there's a pile of paperwork that we don't even want to know about on your desk, or, marking that you're going to be up until the wee hours of the morning doing. And
while also holding all of the social and emotional and well-being concerns of the young people that you see show up in your classroom every day. And that's really hard to switch off. It's hard to switch that off.
Yeah.
I still have students that I think about that randomly pop into my brain in the middle of the night, and I'm like, God, I hope they're doing okay, or whatever it is. And we just can't. Teachers are so taken for granted, I think, and they often get a bit of a bad rap in the media. Things like, oh, you get 12 weeks of holidays a year. What an easy
starting
job.
at 9, ending at 3, photocopying worksheets. Oh, that just gets me every time.
And we know, right? We know that that's all just it's a load of BS. Let's be real about it. We know how hard teachers work.
It's like the stats around you can only have 150 people that you call your close friends or that you have close relationships with. Yeah, you have 100 of them in your classroom every week that you're meant to remember all of their names, all of their needs, all of their wants and all of their dreams. And if you don't, it's
And often too, we don't have teenagers, unfortunately, and bless their cotton socks, don't have the foresight to grab you at the end of the class and go, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I really enjoy being in this maths class and I learned so much from you and yada, yada, yada. And yes, some of us do have students who are that polite and always might thank us at the end of a lesson. But for a big part of it, it's a really thankless job. So it's really important to have that acknowledgement of just how amazing you are for the fact you choose to hang out with teenagers and young people and literally influence the next generation of these other change makers that are sitting in our classrooms. So hats off.
Absolutely. So we're here to acknowledge the fact that teaching is so much around planting seeds and that we just don't know how those seeds are going to sprout, how they're going to grow and how they're going to influence our young people for a long time to come. And so we are here to share some little stories on just that. So what are some, I'll throw to Wil first. What is a memory you have of a teacher, of a seed that has been planted in your education journey that has truly changed the trajectory of your life?
I think it was around year 8. I'd started my first business when I was in year 7, I was 11 years old. By year 8, I'd just gone into high school. And one of my teachers, he wasn't even my teacher, he was like one of them careers advisors people, told not me directly but someone else, which I always think has more power as well. I think he's going to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, what is this word? How do I spell this? I still don't know how to spell it. But it was that sort of clicked in what I think was like, maybe this business that I started that I didn't consider a business is actually a business and it's opportunity for business. And I started to look at it like a business and I started to see myself as an entrepreneur and started owning that story as me as an entrepreneur. So by year 9, the business was a plain website. It was called Planopedia. And I actually started selling pens to everyone in my class and in my year. I grew up in a small country town, so everybody knew everybody knew about Planopedia, and I really owned that story. And I sold 200 pens for $2 each through the school, and I know
400 buckaroos.
Yeah, and because my mum's name's Karen, so I'm good at complaining. They didn't arrive on time, so they gave me a full refund for the pens, which was nice. So it was my first time making profit, but it wasn't just young people and students buying them pens. It was teachers, it was staff members from around the school. And it was that confidence in me and the belief in me that sold the pens, not because I actually wanted a pen. What teacher needs more pens? To be fair, they were actually very good pens. But it's to this day where them pens are still in, I don't know, circulation.
Yeah.
Literally, we were at Perth a couple of months ago at a conference in Perth, and the school you attended was in attendance of the conference, and the teachers came up to us and they were telling us that there are still Planopedia pens getting around your high school.
Yeah, which was like my first.
So wild.
It's my cousin's a nurse, for example, and they've popped up in hospitals in different towns. But what it was like my first opportunity to create change on a small scale and also leave a legacy as well.
Yeah.
And that first belief that I got from like a cohort of teachers. So it was like, yes, it was $2, but what it meant for me was then in year 11 having the confidence to then start Youth Leadership Academy Australia, which now works with over 1,000 schools and 40,000 young people, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's as a result of the teachers that you had in your life. Like, yes, we can't dismiss the fact you are so intrinsically motivated and driven to make change, but shout out to Wil Massara's teachers because they've made a difference, right, in your world, in the person that you've become, and in encouraging and supporting your dreams and your confidence in yourself to go out and do that and make that change.
Absolutely.
I love it. I guess my story is on the other side of that, like the flip side. And I've 100% had so many teachers influence me throughout my high school experience. And my mum was one of those mums, she's a chronic oversharer. And so my teachers knew a lot of things about my life that sometimes I was like, why do they know this? Actually, side note, this isn't the story, but my year 7 graduations, I went to school in Queensland, and year 7 when I was there was still primary school. So we had like a year 7 primary school graduation, which just so happened to be the same day that I got my period for the first time. And my mum told my year 7 teacher, like went up to her like so proud mum moment and was like, I just have to let you know, Skye's graduating in more ways than one tonight. Anyway, we love it. So to all the teachers that just like hold stories for parents, for kids, we get told so many things all the time. It's outrageous. So anyway, I'm still going strong. Thanks for asking.
Congratulations.
But my story is actually of my experience as a teacher, and I guess not really understanding the influence that you can have as an educator until you're kind of a bit removed from that space. And I studied careers education and development as well, so always have been in a bit of a careers advisory role in schools as well as in year level coordinator roles. So working with a lot of kids who have questions about what should I do with my future and what are the skills that I have and things like this. And while I have a lot of thoughts about that, and that's for another episode, I remember this one student, I didn't remember her until I ran into her, but I'll get to that. But I went to the Philippines, and I came back from the Philippines with a spider bite on my butt. And that's pause for the drama, and ended up having to check myself into hospital as a result of it, because I was in so much pain I actually couldn't even sit down on my flight home from the Philippines.
What'd you do? Stand up?
I stood for most of the flight.
This.
It was it was full infectious diseases. Ended up having to go in.
Walking, not straight. Yeah,
I couldn't. It was the worst.
Things.
It was the worst. Anyway, that aside, when I went to hospital, I'm in so much pain, and one of the first nurses that greets me, I was like, where do I know her from? Her face was so familiar, and she was an ex-student of mine from would have been 6 or 7 years ago.
When you've got an infection on your butt.
When you've got an infection on your butt and you have to show someone your butt, that's exactly what you want, an ex-student.
Oh gosh.
But they were obviously so lovely, but remembered me and was straight away like, oh my God, Miss Hughes, you're my English teacher. And I remember I met with you about careers stuff, and I was like, where's this going? Are you going to hate me because you don't like your job now? What's going on? And she's like, no, I remember you saying to me, I was really confused about what I wanted to do with my life. And you saying, well, I've noticed that you're really good with people. You're so kind and you've always got a listening ear. You'd probably be great in an allied health profession or as a nurse or something where you're working with people day to day. And she shared with me that when she graduated high school, she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. And the reason she accepted her nursing degree was because of that comment, that one, what I would consider more like a throwaway comment that you have as a teacher. And it was that maybe similar, Will, to what your teachers saw in you, that confidence that they could actually do something. And that, I don't know, considering that I was having to get a chunk of my butt cut out because it was infected, it was really lovely to be able to have that connection. And I wasn't in a state to reflect on it when I was in hospital. But after that, I was like, wow, that's we don't even understand the power of our words and the influence that can have on the trajectory of young people's lives. What a privilege, but also how powerful to know that that's the difference you can make.
And I think there's a common theme emerging here of a teacher believed in me.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You believed in that student.
Yeah.
Your teachers believed in you. And I think my story is really similar as well. And it's about a teacher also believing in me. And mine's actually a teacher in university. I was going through my education.
Level up.
Here we are. I was going through my Bachelor of Education, and this teacher is one of the best teachers I've ever had in my life. She actually, funnily enough, had me for PE education. So she was teaching us to the PE realm because I'm primary school trained. So you do all of the subjects.
I thought you were about to say you've done another degree somewhere along the line.
No. But because we had to do in primary education,
you have to be able to teach everything.
Everything, right? So you learn it. So she was our PE teacher, and it's funnily enough, I don't know why we don't make this correlation, but so often we don't make the correlation, or in my mind, we don't make the correlation between PE and life-changing, right?
Yeah.
PE is sport, but my most life-changing experience of a teacher was my PE teacher. And it's because she believed in me. And it's interesting because literally only a month ago or so, I was in Sydney and I reached out to her because the belief she showed in me, the spark she saw in me, actually led to me working in the Indigenous space. And, you know, a lot of us will know that I have lived up there in the NT for a long time, worked, you know, with schools and organisations in the Indigenous space and continue to do so. And I plan on doing so for the rest of my life. It's incredibly important to me. And that whole journey was sparked in a moment with her. And she brought it up with me. She shared a story of her time working in that space, and she reflected to me that she felt that I would really get a lot from that space as well. And so I messaged her just a month ago and I said, I just want you to know that you're the whole reason that my career has taken this trajectory, and you believed in me, and you're one of the best teachers I've ever had. And like, please never forget that you're changing lives every day. And that's so important. I think.
She was left on red. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, did you get a response?
Yeah, we tried to catch up, but I had this, I don't know, crazy schedule. We were running conferences at the International Convention Centre, Wil Massara, so it was a bit wild. But you know, we never know. We never know. And so I also feel like those, you know, if we want to use whatever metaphor, like those seeds that we're planting, you know, they're all worth it. Every single one is worth it. They're not always easy. It's, you know, building that connection, taking that time, making that space. It's not always easy, and we don't always have the energy or the time, realistically, but it is always worth it, because we don't know what seeds of belief are going to sprout and inform the trajectory of careers, of businesses, of creating change in this world.
And I think there's something magical knowing that all these seeds are planted, and we may never get to sit in the shade of those trees.
And never actually know what happens.
But this is that intergenerational equity piece. This is like what we get to pass on. These are the seeds we get to plant. And I don't know if there's a more important role than a teacher in that. I
said it in like episode 2 or 1. They should be paid as much as doctors.
Yeah, like it's amazing. And I think like, yes, obviously parents, guardians, the people that raise us, but for a lot of people, we spend more time with our teachers and in the classroom than we even do with our parents.
Especially in this day and age.
If they're spending time around a dinner table, learning things like empathy and compassion and feeling that belief, that's a huge privilege that a young person has, whereas not everybody has that. And we as educators, I'm going to say we because we also hang out with young people, have that opportunity to build belief. And imagine a world where everybody believed in themselves, right?
Just imagine that world. And I love it because I think that starts with teachers. And I think honestly, teachers are like unicorns. They're the most magical people. They choose to get up every day. They choose to face the crap that's coming their way, or the administrative tasks or the load or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. We all have crap we're dealing with. Teachers turn up every day, and they turn up for those young people in that classroom. They turn up to connect. They turn up to believe in them. They turn up to plant those seeds. And that is just something that should absolutely be recognised and applauded and celebrated.
And something that's being spoken about a lot at the moment is something called service leadership. And I think the epitome of service leadership is teaching, because we show up, we take the time, we make the space, even if it's not always easy. We plant those seeds, and we, you know, plant those seeds of belief and opportunity and possibility. And we give that from a place of service.
Yeah, it's not to get anything out of it. It's not to sit in the shade
how
ourselves.
often do we actually get something out of it? Like, you know, it is. It's that giving piece. And
Giving with no expectation is like, it's huge. Huge.
So teachers, you're amazing. We are like, if you're a teacher listening to this, like, thank you for doing what you do, and for the difference that you make, and for the differences you make that you don't even know that you make.
And be really excited about that opportunity to give another young person, belief in themselves as well.
And I also feel like take this, you know, episode as a chance to, if there's someone in your world that has planted a seed of opportunity or of influence, let them know, because you know, we spend that time and we spend that energy, and let them know they're making a difference, because they deserve to know that from you.
You're amazing. Keep doing the good work. Keep shining the good light. And we will see you next time.
I'll be here for you, 'cause you're there for them too.